Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm back at the crib after pretty much stuffing my face. Man, I'm actually amazed that I haven't fallen into a food coma. Normally, I'd be dead sleep, knocked the fuck out, shit. But I think I got just enough gas in the tank to make this video, and you already know what time it is, what we gonna talk about. But before we go there, let me go ahead and say this much. Because y'all think that this video is gonna go into the direction that y'all suppose that it's gonna go. Let me just take the time to say that this ain't that. No, it's not. This isn't the celebrate. This isn't the mock. This isn't the jeer. Or take what has transpired sometime last week as far as the assassination of a certain person. This video is not to spew hate, spew vitriol. Not at least towards this nigga. Not at least towards him, anyway. Because I know a lot of goofies are getting online. They're talking cash shit about him, and they're losing, and it's costing them their jobs. All types of shit. Like, people are getting penalized for, basically talking about the pretty much the Obersturmbannführer, if you will, who just recently got a snotbox rocked. That's not what I'm here to do. In fact, all the hate that people are spewing for this guy, and my whole thing is, despite excuse me, despite who he might have been and what he supposedly represented, the fact of the matter remains is that I didn't know the guy. I didn't even know prior to the day that he got, according like Hassan Campbell says, he got his TV turned off and got a snot box rocked. Prior to that day that bullet entered his jugular vein, I didn't even know who the man was. And then to add, a gruesome, let me say all this to condemn what happened to him. I openly condemn that shit. That was some bullshit. That was some fuck shit. To assassinate that man, not only in front of the world stage, but in front of his wife and kids, and then to leave his wife a widow to two very small children, that's some bullshit. That's fucked up. Now, with that said, on the same token, I'm not here to coon. I'm not here to bootleg either. I'm like Switzerland, bro. I'm neutral on this. I'm just looking at the optics of the situation, bro. And the fact that, despite who he might have been and might have represented, the fact that that doesn't, it's 11 o'clock and I'm still here. It's almost as if it's 7. But despite who he was or might have been, it doesn't change the fact that, of the fucked up optics as far as, two little boys in the world who've been recently brought into the world, will never see their daddy again, won't be raised by him, and his mother and their mother, his wife, be left a widow. That's fucked up. Not to mention all the people getting online jeering about the shit like the shit was fucking funny. Laughing about it, clowning, celebrating. I mean, that's the left for you. So, but you know, being that I'm neutral, being that I'm independent, I will say this, that at the end of the day, it's two wings of the same bird. But I was just thinking, right? I was just thinking because I was talking to somebody about this, that the left is so twisted, right? The left is so fucking twisted that this whole libtard culture that they have going on, that you mostly find, particularly in these blue states like the one I'm currently living in, as well as, and I mean, you just get to see it. It is the face of the wicked. It is exactly what the Bible refers to as the wicked, and just how twisted they are. The likes of a Kamala Harris, or people who are being led around the nose by a Kamala Harris or a Jared Polis, you know, the governor of this state, or the governor of California, or at least the former governor of California, or that city she ran out there in San Francisco, you know, Kamala. It's sickening. And what's even more sickening about it is that part of the quote-unquote liberalism, or libtardism, if you will, ties in, or they try to tie it in, with quote-unquote black rights under the guise of yet another scam by the name of BLM, or Black Lives Matter. And what's even sicker about that, what's even sicker than that, is the fact that black culture has become so degenerate that I've even seen memes on the internet saying that gay is the new black. So basically, black folks as a collective have traded their blackness, or have made their blackness synonymous to the alphabet community. So just by default, black rights, black civil rights, and gay rights, according to these people, are synonymous to one another. And I was just thinking, right, as if there's no such thing as a thing like black conservatives. As if there's not a thing of black people who turn their nose up and actually look down on an LGBT lifestyle. As if there aren't black people who would look at that and call that lifestyle, according to the Most High, abominable. As if black people like that don't exist. As if we're all just in it together and we all get to be grouped in it, along with, oh shit, there's some birds flying. Oh, it was just a moth. False alarm. For all I know, it could have been an owl, a bat. Shit. False alarm, that was just a moth. And you know, like I said, I'm not here to judge the man. I don't have a heaven or a hell to put him in. I'm hearing stories from two different sides. It's he say, she say, y'all. It's what they say versus what they say. Some say that he was. Some say, excuse me, that he was morally righteous and upstanding. Upstanding to quote unquote Christian values. And some say that he was pretty much the second coming of Hitler. Like the reincarnation of Hitler. And these are by people who knew the man, who knew him, who went to school with him, who said that after he was turned down by West Point, he just kind of flew into this rage because he was enraged at the fact that there were black applicants who got in versus him. And in his mind, these black applicants who got accepted were pretty much like what is it they call DEI hires, right? Which stands for diversity something something. Hell if I know and hell if I care. Because I can tell you this, I ain't no DEI hire. I promise you. And this is, this is just a little preface before I go into, because I swear there are white folks in this country who swear that anytime a black man or black person in general is in a position that goes beyond the typical slaving, wage slave Negro who ain't pushing a mop, who ain't throwing a basketball in a basketball goal, will swear that they're DEI hires, that it's affirmative action, that in other words, that it's just black privilege. Take it from me, America. In my life, there's no such thing. And again, what is my color? Does that look like white skin to you? I promise you, everything that I have, I got from the mud and I got from the sweat of my brow. I didn't get this far in my life. Unless would you like to include the student loans? Was that part of DEI and affirmative action? The student loans that I have to pay back? The fact that I got to pay Sally Mae back? And Uncle Sam back? Was that DEI and damn affirmative action? And technically, because I hear that, he was from like Arizona, or like he was like around the Arizona, Utah area. I'm assuming that he probably grew up in both, probably was born in Arizona and grew up there and kind of grew up in Utah, because I think the high school student who described him and described he described him that he was already an asshole, that he was an asshole to begin with. And then when West Point turned him down, he became an even bigger asshole, and he started directing that assholery towards blacks. But let me before I get it into the crux, because I'm not even there yet. I'm not even there yet, because I am in a ranting mood. And what I have the rants about ain't got nothing to do with the Obersturmbannführer who lost his life at the hands of one of his own, apparently. Because I hear that guy wasn't even left wing. Apparently, I heard that he was a right wing, but he was messing around with trannies or some, just some. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't know. Because again, it's not my fight. Like I said, prior to him being killed, I didn't even know who he was. But let me tell you something about West Point. West Point is in the South. And this is something that I've noticed, during my time, because as you know, I'm in Colorado. I'm in the West. However, I'm from the South. And I've been in Colorado for almost 8 years. And based on what I've seen out here in Colorado, and as you know, Colorado, Utah, and Arizona are not too far from each other. In fact, they make up the mountain states. They all do. Arizona, Colorado, and Utah. So I would not be any less surprised if I went to Utah and went to Arizona and found the same kind of culture, the same kind of cliquish culture that you would find, that I have found in Colorado. But let me say this. He was mad about, according to what one of his, I'm trying to talk and yawn at the same time. Yeah, I'm tired, but I'm trying to get this off my chest. One of his so-called friends, because he said this so-called friend said he would bully him, mess with him, that he was a bully, that he was an asshole. And like I said, when he got turned down by West Point, he became an even bigger asshole and started, like I said, directing his anger towards black people. Oddly enough, ironically enough, you can almost juxtapose that to what happened with Hitler when, Hitler got rejected from art school because, he wanted to be, some big hotshot artist. And yeah, the local universities or the local art school out there in Austria or whichever city he was in, I'm guessing Vienna, turned him down. And we see how well that went. We see where that went. Fucking Saturdays, I swear to God. Even in this late date, the wails of police and ambulance sirens. All over the motherfucking city. But take it from me. For all you, because the West has shown me a culture that's very much akin to how Hitler propped up his little Aryan race. Of how the Aryan was supposed to have been a superior, a genetically superior being. Well, the 1936 Olympics with competitors like Jesse Owens disproved that. Right? So take it from me. Take it from somebody who's from the South. There was no way there was no way a man like this man was prepared based off of what I've seen on the average Colorado man, whether or not he was an Arizona man or a Utah man, states that I've never been here before, but based off of what I've seen here in Colorado, in next door neighbor Colorado, you were in no shape or form prepared for nothing like West Point. You didn't stand a chance. And those brothers, and I'm assuming sisters who did, because I don't know if West Point is co-ed. So forgive my ignorance. For some odd reason, I think it's all male. It might be all male and female. For all I know, I wouldn't know, right? But I'm here to tell you. I'm here to tell you, you cowboys of the West, you yokels of the West. You didn't have a fat chance in hell getting into no damn West Point. You probably had a better chance. And I don't even want to say, no, I take that back. I'm not even going to say that. I'm not even going to say that. But to get into America's top tier of military schools in the South, because, you know, there's this whole stereotype about the South that we're all a bunch of bumpkins, we're all a bunch of yokels. And it seems like I always have to be the one to remind people that, you know, a college like West Point, I have to remind them that was in the South. The South had military colleges. Several of them, if I'm not mistaken. West Point being only one of many and being the top tier of that. And the South was bringing the Union to its knees. Apparently, it wasn't until they started bringing our black asses, introducing our black asses into the Union, that we started bringing it to the South's ass. But take it from me, bro. The reason why those brothers and maybe even sisters got into West Point and you didn't is because they're probably from the culture. And no, I'm not talking about affirmative action. I'm not gonna make it that easy for you. I'm not gonna make it easy for you to sit up here and chalk up black excellence, black achievement, and just chalk it up to DEI and affirmative action. It don't work like that. They probably grew up in a culture where they were reared and prepared from a very young age for such a task as, you know, getting in everything it took to get accepted into West Point. You know, very much like our private institutions, our Ivy League schools, you know, like Princeton, Harvard, Yale, you know, such and such. That ain't no small feat. And you don't get accepted into those kind of schools, you know, being an average student or even being a good student. That's not how it works. It's top tier. And, you know, it just alludes to, you know, the West version of cliquishness, where, and I mean, this is where I'm coming from too. That's why I say I find it very believable that he would crash out. Because I'm telling you from the perspective that I have as a Southerner living in the West, seeing the culture of two regions, growing up in the South, but yet living in the West long enough to pick up on this. With, along with the help of ChatGPT, of how this happened. Because the West, particularly Colorado, particularly Denver, has this cliquish culture where the right skin is what gets you in. And that's it. That's all it takes. In the South, not so much. Yes, the right skin might get you in, but that's it. It gets you in the door. You're not guaranteed a spot at the Chamber of Commerce. You still, in the South, you got to put in some work. You want to be part of the elites, you got to put in some work. And for the life of me, these Western yokels, these Western bumpkins, which is what I call them, because they're more bumpkin and yokel and redneckish than we are. That's how I see them. Because like I said, they don't understand the politics of the South. So imagine how disappointed they are when they try to, coming from a Western standpoint, with their cliquish ways, try to become inducted in one of the most top tier of military colleges in the country, but is on the other side of the country, in the South, and they don't get accepted. And they run across, or they, in their wildest dreams, assume that some black kids did, not knowing that those black kids grew up in the South, faced a whole different culture, bereft of their Western culture and their Western cliquishness. And what I said about how they had to put in work, I'm talking about white boys who got in. So just imagine black boys and what they had to do to get in. Twice the amount of work, twice the amount of effort. And you're going to sit up there and chalk that up to affirmative action. And then get mad at every black body you see, because that's a reminder to you of somebody who got in on the strength of affirmative action versus you. You didn't qualify, dude. And a lot of, that seems to be a running problem in this country, are just a bunch of pissed off white boys and white men who just can't seem to accept, I guess, for lack of better words, that mediocrity. Because they've been coddled. And people, I'm not even at the crux of the video yet. That's what I'm not here to rant about. I'm not here to rant about white outrage and white fragility. Books that I know of, but I have yet to purchase, if I ever do purchase them. Because at this point, I don't even care. But it's just a strong reflection of all throughout the country, Southwest, East, West. But like I said, let me tell you, Northern boys and Western boys something. The South is different. And if it wasn't for the brothers, the Buffalo Soldiers, our country would have been looking quite different from now. I mean, the way it's looking now. Y'all do realize that, right? Because the Confederacy was fucking y'all up. The Confederacy was fucking the Union up. Y'all took the stereotypes of a couple of bumpkins living in Appalachia and just took all of us Southerners for just a bunch of toothless rednecks. And that stereotype could not be further from the truth. If anything, that stereotype is a projection. Because if I had $1 for every toothless bumpkin that I've encountered here in the Rockies, I'd be a millionaire by now. So it's a real eye opener. It's a real culture shock. As far as what set this man on his little warpath, that, you know, definitely raised eyebrows, to say the least. Now, with that said, let me go into my now I will begin my rant, because what I have to rant about has nothing to do with this man. Has nothing to do with him. But it has everything to do with, apparently, what and who he represented. And again, I don't condone the man's assassination. I don't condone people getting online mocking him and jeering at the fact that what happened to him happened to him. I think it's sick. I think it's disgusting. I think the left is sick. I think the left is disgusting. But I will say this. And before I begin, I've begun my rant, but let me start my rant off by saying this. If the right were just a trifle less racist, I probably would be on the right side. Let me say that again. If the right were a trifle less racist, let alone not racist at all, I'd be on your side. I'd be on the right wing side. And see, this is the problem of the Christian equation, because this man was regarded as a Christian, but he was regarded as a white nationalist Christian. The same way the KKK is regarded as a Christian organization. Now, again, I'm neutral here. Y'all should know by now, I've thrown Christianity on the bus. I ain't got no use for it. But I do remember the Christian value, you know, the values that I grew up as a Christian, you know, growing up as a baby Christian, somebody who, you know, at the age of 14, accepted Jesus as his Lord and Savior. And still tries to the best of my ability, to live up to the laws, statutes, of commandments of the Most High as a now Hebrew Israelite. But the problem with white nationalist Christian is that it just doesn't tie in too well with black Christians. Because it's black Christians now who are basically throwing this man under the bus. And even the Bible says, where Jesus says that, you know, if how does it say that if Satan divides against Satan, how will his kingdom stand? So you got white nationalist Christians going up against black Christians. And I dare say, even if they're conservative, the black Christians, even if they are speaking out against the LGBT and all that, and all the foolishness that come with that, what's the issue with those guys? Is it that they're black? I would certainly say it is. It was. Was. Will be. Always will be. Because my rant is this. It's a tragedy what happened to him. But if he is anything, and I mean anything, of the white Christian, quote unquote Christian nationalists that I've run into in my lifetime, not only can I relate to the people ranting out against him and celebrating his demise, his untimely demise, I might add. And the Bible does say, why should you die before your time? Since we're going to talk about Christian, since we're going to bring Bible into it, the Bible does so. You wouldn't mind, you Christians out there, surely you won't mind, black or white, or nationalist, or whatever the hell you are. Surely you won't mind if I bring some scripture into, because I'm pretty much, while I'm ranting, we pretty much having church up in here. We pretty much preaching a sermon on the mountain, if you will. So surely you won't mind if I bring some Bible into it. I mean, being that you're a Christian and all. If this man was anything, because the way I see him, like I said, I don't know who he was. I don't know who he was. I don't care who he was. But if he was anything, and what I mean by that is I would have rather it been the white Christian nationalists whom I've run into in the past who made an effort to put me in my place as a black man in America, in Christian white America, if you will. I would have rather it been you. And y'all have heard my if you know anything about me, if you've gone through my archives, and I mean, I feel like every time, because one thing I don't like doing is repeating myself. I don't like beating a dead horse. I don't like preaching to the choir. But if you go into my archives, and the fact that I'm saying it over and over and over again, it's probably an indicator of the truth, and that my story never changes up when I tell you of my encounters with these lunatics. The encounters that I've had in Tennessee as well as Colorado. Because some of y'all would regard, well, you're in Colorado. I mean, you're practically in Whitey Whiteville. So what do you expect? Well, what about my experiences in Tennessee? With all them black folk down there. I mean, that really just goes right back to what Malcolm X said about anywhere south of Canada is the South. And the testament to that is the fact that Colorado at one point in this country's history had the second highest Klansman participation, probably only bested by either Tennessee, where the Klan started, in Pulaski, or Mississippi. So what I'm saying is, I would have much rather it had been the white nationalists that I had run into, that I had to face and endure in my lifetime. The Karens and the Darrens, if you will. And if it were them who got shot in their jugular vein, I wouldn't be up here bootlicking. I wouldn't be up here. I would tell y'all exactly who they were, exactly what they were. And if this man was anything, that they were, that the white supremacists in my life were, I'd be saying good riddance. I still wouldn't be celebrating the shit. I wouldn't be up here clapping my hands and stomping my feet. But, the Bible says that when the wicked perish, did y'all know? I believe it's, don't quote me, but I believe it's Proverbs chapter 11, verse 10-ish. That when the wicked perish, there's shouts of joy. Don't get mad at me. That's what thus saith the Lord. It says that when the wicked rule, the people suffer. Yeah, it's like the people suffer, the people mourn, something like that, something along that line. And they mourn because they're suffering. I should know. I was one of them. Not the wicked, but one of the people suffering due to the wicked ruling. I mean, you need look no further than my story, bro. A story of crusade, of true crusadership, and of endurance, perseverance, long suffering. A true crusader, if you will. Chastity, piety. Not a whole lot of romance. I mean, bro, I'm telling y'all, I've lived the true life of a damn crusader. So I've earned my colors. I've earned the right, because people, when it gets right cold, I'll put on the cloak and the tunic, wearing a black cross. Some people associate that as a symbol of hate. That it's a hate symbol. And, I thought about that and came to the defense of it, that the cross, particularly the Iron Cross, because of its association with Nazism, would be regarded as a symbol of hate, and that I would come to its defense to say that no, it has nothing to do with Nazism, because that's what the Teutonic Knights, we're talking about an order who wouldn't give a flying fuck about me and probably would regard me as some Moor and crusade against my black ass. I'm up here defending the shit. But I'm here to tell y'all, I'm here to decree why I wear the Iron Cross when it's cold enough to wear the cloak and the tunic. That it is a hate symbol. It is a symbol of hate against unrighteousness, a hate against sin, a hate against wickedness. So you're right, it is a hate symbol. Hate against all the things that are the antithesis of what it truly represents, that old rugged cross that we all must take if we're to follow the will of the Most High. That's what the cross is to me. And I choose to represent that by wearing an iron cross. And the fact that it's black is because, the Templars wear red. And, needless to say, we all can associate that with the blood of Christ. But the black cross that the Teutonic Order wears is a representation of two things, if you ask me. It represents the color of what blood eventually turns into after it's been oxygenated long enough, which is like either a dark brown or even black. And it represents our steadfastness in the darkest hour. And I'm here to tell y'all that I've been there. I've been down that road carrying the cross. And it ain't been no affirmative action to carry me along the way. It's hypocrisy at its finest. It's projection at its finest. Sit up here and say that every black man and woman is out here getting by on the EBT card, on the food stamps, on affirmative action, all these benefits. And I'm here to tell you, I've been living my life. I ain't had none of that shit. And didn't want it. Who wants to sit and stand rather in the hot ass sun for hours just to apply for some food stamps? What's wrong with your hands and arms that you can't work and earn your own daily bread? And I always looked at it like that. I always looked at it like that. But back to my story, or my backstory of what I told y'all about my first experience with Karen and Darren at the Atlanta Bread Company. Remember them? The one who accused me of plotting to bring a gun to school and do some Columbine shit. And I was just thinking about that shit too, how crazy that is. That in they lunatic white supremacist Nazi, again, white Christian nationalist mind, a black man, a black kid is gonna walk up into any kind of school doing some Columbine type shit. We have yet to see it to this day. And on the same day that the Obersturmbannführer died was the same day that out here in some part of Whiteyville, Colorado, definitely within the Denver district, the Denver metro, but it was a suburb, i.e. Whiteyville, called Evergreen. And the high school was actually called Evergreen. One of these white nationalists shot 3 of his classmates on the same day, and then turned the gun on himself. Rocked himself to sleep. Blew his own beak off. Pushed his own wig back. While attempting to push 3 others. From what I hear, one of the boys, and that's just, the confirmed case that I've heard is that one of them is still in the hospital in critical condition. And that's a part of town that's in, again, one of the safest, whitest of white utopias that you'll probably find in this part of the world. That'd probably be, somebody from Collierville's dream come true. Because you know how they strive to keep everything white over there. But I'm not even talking about, what Memphis is now. I'm talking, let's bring it back about 2 decades ago. In my experiences, with the Karen accusing me of, because I said, and it doesn't it show, and then let's bring IQ into it too. Let's bring IQ into the factor. We're supposed to be the slow, low IQ savages. And I've been questioning this shit since a time like that. I mean, not to mention, how my miseducation was systemic, my situation of employment or lack thereof was systemic. All of this shit being systemic. And how I've practically spent, you could almost say, my entire life doing something about it. Spent my whole life dispelling the lie and pissing a whole gang of white nationalists along the way. Pissing them off. Mad that the nigga can read. Mad that the nigga graduated high school. Mad that the nigga graduated college. Mad that the nigga isn't being a nigga, if you will. Living up to the stereotypes of a Negro. Mad that the nigga is going into places of business, patronizing the business, and getting the fuck up out of there, minding his own business. In other, i.e., not being a nigga. Not propping me up as the superior being. How much of a high IQ could you have if you can take the term, I can only imagine what kind of trouble I would be in if I brought a gun to school. And in your white supremacist and white nationalist mind, you translate that as, I'm planning on bringing me a gun to school. And then to have some bumpkin from Louisiana backing her up on that. Taking her side. No different from the days of the old, right? When, y'all, we all know the saying, white women lie, black men die. Classic. And we need look no further than the Emmett Till situation. It's ingrained in this country's history. And guess who was lucky enough? Guess who was lucky enough to live it out and actually live to tell it, to tell the tale. Guess who was lucky enough for that? But I don't want to labor too long with Tennessee because, they're getting their dues because we already know the story of Memphis, bro. We already know the story of how they tried to, make Memphis into some sort of ethno state where the niggas over here, the elites, whites over there, and then the niggas just got spread everywhere and just started killing everybody. And it was the worst of them. And, the black folks who were in between, who they saw and knew that we weren't on that rah-rah shit, tried to warn you, and you tried to make criminals out of us. But we tried to warn you about those savages. You had us around those savages. And now you're mad, and then you're going to sit up here and claim black fatigue on top of all that. Now that the savage is over on your side of the town, tearing up your shit. I'm like, welcome to our world, motherfucker. You created this savage. And you do realize that Pookie and Shaniqua are creations of white supremacy. We gonna tell it on the mountain. And I'm in the mountain, so pun intended. We gonna tell it on the mountain. We gonna deliver that sermon on the mountain. And I can truly attest to that because, like I said, I'm in the mountains. I'm in the Rockies. Or at least by the Rockies. I'm not literally in the mountains. But I'm by them. I can see them. But I won't labor too long with Tennessee because, like I said, we know the story. Tennessee, the fact that Trump is bringing troops to Memphis now just tells you, it reflects, and that part right there of me saying that is me not feeling sorry for Memphis, me jeering and laughing and posturing, maybe not jeering and laughing, but at the very least posturing at the city that I had to survive and endure long before there was even a thought about Trump bringing the National Guard and regular army troops to Memphis. And I hate to be on some prophet shit, but your boy kind of had a prophecy about this. See, nobody wants to believe the prophet until, just like didn't nobody want to believe Noah until it started raining, and then it kept on raining, and then it wouldn't stop, and it went. The next thing you know, the whole world's flooded. And if you ain't got no kind of boat or whatnot, and particularly if you ain't on Noah's Ark, you cooked. You was cooked. Because anybody who wasn't on that ark, God wanted you out of here anyway. Don't nobody want to believe the prophet until the prophecy comes. I low-key saw it in my mind's eye that the National Guard was going to come to Memphis. And I don't even think it was so much as prophecy as much as it was, I dare say, a mix of inductive and deductive reasoning. Because look at the murder rate. Look at the staggering homicide rates down there for a city Memphis' size. And how it practically doubled after the pandemic. Because before the pandemic, it was around 200, which was still terrible. But after the pandemic, we started seeing numbers in the 300s, damn near 400. So I would tell anybody, it wouldn't have taken you wouldn't need to have seen a prophet or a prophetess to tell you that it's only a matter of time before the National Guard takes over Memphis. And at least attempts to do something to quell all that goddamn violence down there. So that's the story of Memphis. I mean, I could go into more detail, but I'm not really here to do that. I'm more here to point my finger at, like I said, the white supremacist assholes whom I had to encounter, whom this dude apparently represents. That's why I say, even though I don't know him in particular, I do know those motherfuckers, and I would trade them off. I would trade that Karen or that Darren, the Karen from France, the Darren from Louisiana, to take his place any time of the day. Because the way I see this dude was a pawn. Nothing more, nothing less. The Obersturmbannführer was a pawn. And it was his own who took him out. So, I mean, to me, he's a nobody. And again, my condolences go out to his family. You know, being the future white supremacist wannabe Nazis that they are. It's fucked up that, that they pretty much get to be some, get to live the Keisha experience, like, growing up in a single parent household. With no daddy in their life. Sound like some Keishas and Pookies to me. But no, this dude was a nobody. He quite literally was a nobody. Like, and the fact that they're propping him up like he's a somebody. Now, and who am I to say he was a nobody? Well, I can tell you this. Not much. Not much. I ain't got too much in my record to brag about compared to him, compared to somebody who's been around the world and debated English kids at some British university over there, pissing them off, and going back to America, pissing everybody off. Some people, and I ain't gonna lie, some people needed to be pissed off. Because his talking points, I stand in the same with well, at least I ain't gonna say the same, but similar talking points when it comes to my opinions on abortion and, again, LGBT, abortion, Democrat-run cities, things that I've had to live and survive and endure, That's what I'm saying. If it wasn't for the element of racism, I would be on his side. But that's how these white, quote unquote, Christian nationalists shoot themselves in the fucking foot. Because I'm like, they're too dumb and too racist to realize that we're on the theoretically we would almost be on the same team, because we don't co-sign abortion, the murdering of a fetus. We recognize a fetus as a living being. We recognize life upon two gametes forming a zygote. At least I do. The unification of a male gamete and a female gamete forming the zygote, that's life. That's when life concedes. Not much less, a woman giving birth, going into labor 9 months after the fact. Now life begins in the womb. And as Christians, again, it must be Ruach HaKodesh telling me this, the Holy Spirit, as y'all call it. The scripture coming up, y'all probably know where I'm going with this. Before you were formed in the womb, I knew you. Thus saith the Lord. But yeah, let me go and get off Memphis, and let me direct my attention to Colorado, because we done with Memphis. Memphis is like, and again, you don't see me clapping my hands and stomping my feet. I mean, what for? What's the point? You don't see me doing that shit. But what you not gonna see me doing is sitting up here boo-hooing, crying for my poor beloved city that went out of its way to fuck me over every chance it got, and then had me to the point where I quite literally banished myself to here in Denver, Colorado. Now let's talk about Colorado, because the Obersturmbannführer, y'all know what I'm talking about, and I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm going to use German terminology. I'm going to use German terminology. Hurley, ich soll nur auf Deutsch sprechen. I should just speak German, period. Just do this whole rant off Deutsch. Shit. Man, I love this phone. I got this new phone, y'all. And its battery power is way stronger than these other garbage ass phones that I've had. By the time I got 20 out on the other phone, this damn phone would have been drained out. And yeah, it definitely needs to charge, but it ain't, all the way down. It might be at 50% or so, more or less. So we got time, and we got power to talk about this bullshit ass wannabe ethno state called Colorado. And my run-ins with some wannabe Klansmen trying to show me, trying to show me they Colorado white nationalist ass. A police officer accusing me of owning a van, which I couldn't produce because I don't have a van. I don't own a van. So I couldn't even produce what this what this wannabe Nazi asshole was even accusing me of owning. I'm like, what am I, David Copperfield? What, you think, what, I got a hat and I can just pull, yeah, what, I can just pull a van up out of a hat? Would you like me to pull a rabbit out your ass along the way? You got that. And y'all know the story. Like, I mean, this is history. This is your history. Trespassing my black ass from a Safeway while going up in there, again, patronizing the store that I've been in many a times, buying many a things, and being treated like some common criminal. I would have, and I'm here, and let me point this out specifically to that particular police officer, as well as the one who accused me of owning a van that I couldn't produce. I would have much rather it been you shot in the fucking jugular. I would have much rather it been that racist ass store manager to have been shot in the jugular. That's my rant. This motherfucker, the Obersturmbannführer, are nobody. And y'all motherfuckers are nobodies too. But unfortunately, you are the Sturmbannführers in my life. The way the world sees him, the way the left sees him, the way black people as a collective see him, that's how I see you. And I'm here to say that if he was anything the way you are, getting by on your little white privilege, getting by on your little cliquish Colorado Rocky Mountain cliquish culture, not only do I say good riddance to him, I say it should have been you. And I wish it had been. I wish it had been. I pray for the day you die a horrific, violent death. And since we're going to bring Bible into it, because the Christian will tell you to love your enemies, to pray for those who hate you and spitefully, or is it despitefully use you, or those who curse you and spitefully use you, something like that. But what they won't tell you is that David, King David, was in the spirit with the Most High when he wished and prayed destruction upon his enemies. Why shouldn't I wish and pray destruction upon mine? Because you can, I mean, and black folks have been doing this for the longest. We have been loving the enemy. We have been forgiving the enemy. We have been doing right by the enemy. We have been turning the other cheek for years. And what I have noticed is that the more civil we behave around people around assholes like this, around demonic spirits like that, the more it riles them up. It's like it literally encourages them to attack us even more. And let me tell you another thing. And I want all you cops out here, not just the Denver police. I want the Memphis police. I want police officers all around to know this. Because there was a shooting in Pennsylvania, right? Again, Whitey Whiteville, white kid, ambushed some cops. It's your own people doing this. Black people as a collective don't ambush cops. That's the thing we don't do. We ambush each other because we got all the hatred and venom for each other. It's actually when y'all show up that we pussy out. I'm not worried about the Obersturmbannführer losing his life. I'm not celebrating that shit. But every time one of you motherfuckers die, I'll celebrate. I'll masturbate to that shit. I'll jack off to some white porn for that shit. I'll jack off to some Kelly Divine, some what's her name? Some odd reason her name just came up. I think her name was like Bianca Blaze or something like that. Just another, another pog with a big old white booty. This is Alexis, Texas. Just to name a few. Upon hearing your deaths. Because you motherfucker, after seeing you and seeing what I've seen from Delete Laws and how that man, again, white guy, exposing the vast majority of cops being overwhelmingly white, and of course you got your coons and your bootlicks doing the same thing. It's just like Ice Cube said, black police showing out for the white cop. They ain't no better. Seeing those disgusting videos of these disgusting cops roughing up unsuspecting passengers who ain't even putting up a fight, just might be just so much as questioning, standing up for their rights, to the Gestapo, the American Gestapo, and getting slammed, beaten, punched, kicked, tased, shot, much less falsely accused. What am I supposed to make of the death of 3 police officers out there in Pennsylvania? I'll tell you this, what I make of it. When it comes to those 2 Denver cops, not Aurora cops, because, that's the thing, too. I know Aurora's fucked up. I wouldn't want to live in Aurora. I know that. But the crazy thing about Aurora, though? The crazy thing about Aurora is what I've noticed as a quote-unquote ethnic person, if you will, is that that's where most of the ethnicities are. That's where most of, the restaurants, that represent those cultures, like India, Korea, China, all that's where they live. And it's almost like some gentrification type shit, and which most likely it is some gentrification and redlining type shit. And don't get me wrong, I remember, Elijah McClain, what happened to Elijah McClain, that was some fuck shit. What just recently happened, there was this black dude who got into this fender bender and then got out the car, and, an Aurora cop, and again, this was Aurora PD, pushed his whole shit back. But the black man was unarmed. I don't even have an opinion about that, not yet anyway. Because, the way the law is now, there's so many angles. Just the fact that, because even though he wasn't carrying the gun, the fact that there was a gun present and that there were people around and that he was squaring up on the cop, they can use so many angles for that. Say that, one of his buddies or whoever was in the background could have picked up the gun and started shooting at the cop. So he just decided to, neutralize the threat with a gat. Not a taser. He didn't tase him, motherfucker. He had the gat. He shot my boy 3 times, 2 in the chest and 1 in the head. They got that shit all over the news. The fact that it reached national news. And I'm like, here I am once again in an isotope of Memphis where, yes, it's not nearly as dangerous as Memphis, yet and still the elements that made up Memphis, that made Memphis the way Memphis is, are here. So my opinions on the Obersturmbahn Theater getting snuffed out, with us seeing the snuff film of that, and I didn't see the snuff film of the 3 officers in Pennsylvania getting smoked again by a white boy. Again, white on white crime. I'm here to tell those two, while you over here hiding in the shadows like the punk bitches, like the punk bitch chicken shit cowards that y'all are, I would have rather it been y'all. You catching a bullet to the jugular, or you getting ambushed out there in Pennsylvania, or better yet here, by some white boy. Because you see what happened in Whiteyville, Colorado, at that Evergreen High School. You your biggest threat. And the crazy thing about Colorado is that it ain't even a whole lot of black people in Colorado like that. It's probably less than 10%. And somehow, the black man is still on everybody's radar and target. But whenever I seem to hit, see the local news out here, and somebody doing some bullshit, it's either Brad or Edgar, or Hector, as Big Bro AC calls them. They be on the bullshit, and yeah, you got your niggas. Of course, you got your niggas. But how much of a lasting effect? How much of a punch can you really pull, or can you really throw when you make up less than 10% of Colorado's population? Even with the vast majority of them living out there in Aurora. Now, how much of an echo can you really make in a part of the world that's practically split in between white and Hispanic? Basically, white and wannabe white. I really need to get into bed. It's midnight. Not only am I trespassing, but I got a very, as soon as I get up in the morning, I got a busy day ahead of me. Busy. So yeah, that's what the rant was about. Y'all know I will drag. Y'all know how I do it. I will drag it out. I drag mines out. I don't just get to the point and chase. Especially when I got something to rant about. When I got things that I need to discuss, whether I'm bringing up things from the past, a way long time ago, or 2 years ago. Or I need to just point, or if I just need to point out the fact that I, particularly as a black man in Colorado, and in Ku Klux, Colorado, and wherever part of Ku Klux America I just happen to be in, I'm here to tell white nationalist America, I'll be damned before I accept your little bootlicking position. And you know why? You know what you did to fuck that up? Because you may have had some grace with me at one point. I don't know how I would have reacted had I, just run into, like, if I had run into you first instead of, the good white folks, if you will, assuming I can call them that. But, at least they weren't abrasive, to say the least. But, just a flat-out white supremacist who just has it out for black people just for the sole reason of being black. I'm like, come on, bro. Not to mention some fucking race soldiers who are going out of their way to target black people just for the sole reason of them being black. not catching them committing the crime, you going out of your way to criminalize them. And I'm here to tell you, don't think I didn't seek out justice, but justice will be served one way or another. Don't think I didn't go to the ACLU or the NAACP or all these organizations that stand for social justice, for civil rights, and how they failed me. Don't think I didn't do that. I did. They said I wasn't assaulted, so there was nothing to look into. Yet you see the mental scars that I'm displaying for doing nothing more than, again, going into a store and patronizing a business. Something I had been doing for years. Having a membership card at that store. Doing nothing more than looking for some candy to make a purchase so that I could go on and get on the bus so that I could head on to work. In other words, you showing you just had, for some odd reason, you just had to show your Denver, Colorado ass. Well, let me show you my Tennessee ass, my Memphis, Tennessee ass. And take the time to say that I would have much rather it been you at the business end of that rifle that killed the Obersturmbannführer, because he was a nobody. He was Hitler 2.0, a complete fucking failure who blamed his failures on black people. Something I dare say many of you have done, because the station of a police officer and a store man, and a racist one at that, and a store manager, shows how far you've gotten in life. And you probably didn't even earn that by the strength of your own merit. No wonder you hate niggas like us. And you display it. You don't show Pookie and Ray Ray. How come you white nationalists, as much as you hate niggas, how come you never show that? How come you never come at Pookie and Ray Ray with that kind of energy? That is my biggest question to these Harrison, Arkansas, sundown town, Ku Klux Karens, Ku Klux Darrens, who go out of their way to become police officers so that they can track down black people and terrorize them. Why is it that it always seems to be the best among us who faces that? Meanwhile, and it's never the real thugs and the criminals. No, you have to make thugs and criminals out of us. The dynamic never fails. Could it be the same reason why you get so pissed off when one of us comes into your spaces like tennis and we mop the floor with your ass, and you swear that we don't have the genetics, the IQ, or whatever it is that you claim that we don't have to do that, and then when we do that, it distorts your reality so much it pisses you off? Basically, when we don't live up to the stereotypes of a Negro. Is that what it is? Is it the cognitive dissonance? Is that why when white people shoot at y'all, you usually don't shoot back, but if a black man pulls out something that even remotely looks like a gun, you gung-ho on his ass? And then when you're done Swiss cheesing him, you find out that it was just a phone? See, my rant isn't towards the Obersturmbannführer. It's towards you. It's towards the whole system. It's towards what he represented. That's my rant. And if you honestly think that I am going to stand idly by and live in a country that goes out of its way to live up to those age-old antebellum slavery narratives about me being 3/5 of a human being, while something in the atmosphere so much as shakes up your little bureaucracy, excuse me, excuse my Niglish, excuse my Ebonics, your bureaucracy, your so-called affluence, something so much, any little thing so much is upset that you're gonna take it out at us, you're gonna take it out on us, all the while going out of your way to subjugate us. Like we ain't pissed off about our station. You got a nigga like me fucked up. I'm here to tell you. So don't get pissed off when you see me striving for the dollar, striving for the better grade, striving for the better job, striving for the house, striving for the ranch. I earned it. And you know, it's real funny that you would bring up, so many of you bring up affirmative action. But how many of you bring up the Dawes Act? You remember that? You remember the Dawes Act? You remember the act that allowed you amnesty from your native Ireland and Poland and all these other sorry-ass European countries that were in the shitter to come over here and steal land from the indigenous so that you could build up your farmlands and thus build up wealth, and then had the nerve to tell somebody like me to pull myself by my bootstraps, which I am, that's exactly what I'm doing, because I don't have white privilege. I don't have the Dawes Act. With any luck, I might have some inheritance down there in Timbuktu, Tennessee, some down where, not to mention that war zone that I grew up in. I might have that. And that's on a good day at best. And in a war zone like Memphis, all I'm going to do is just sell it. Like I'm going to go back down there and live my quote-unquote normal life. That city has never been normal. But the nerve of you motherfuckers, though, the nerve of you to point your nose at someone like me who has suffered the wrath of this country and to point it in anger. How dare you point your nose at me, an FBA, an American descendant of slavery, somebody who in the modern age, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, as well as the 2020s, has lived through the effects of Jim Crow as if it was goddamn 1965. How dare you point your nose at me in anger when your fragile ass has something affecting you that ain't even got shit to do with me. The nerve of you, the hypocrisy, the hubris. Well, we got a saying in the hood. I know y'all like coming around the niggas and doing your little slumming shit. and you know niggas are too stupid to realize how much you're patronizing them. That shit don't work with me. But I know y'all like doing that. I know y'all like talking with the black scent. So let me give you a little more repertoire for the little black scent next time you want to slum with the brothers, you know what I'm saying, and talk black to the niggas, or I mean the brothers. Hey, whichever one you choose, whether it's NIGGA or the hard R, whichever one. How about getting it how you live? I'm getting mine. I'm here to tell you, white America. I'm here to tell you, racist ass cops. I'm getting mine. Your best bet is to get the fuck out my way, cause I'm getting mine. I'm getting my wealth. I'm not in Memphis no more, bro. And I came up that motherfucker swinging. I took off like a bat out of hell. And I'm up here looking at your mediocre Colorado ass. I'm looking at your mediocre Utah or Arizona ass trying to get into a southern military college called West Point out in damn Virginia. And you getting pissed off about that shit. And then on top of that shit, getting pissed off at the black kids who did get in. Pathetic. Fucking pathetic. Because I'll tell you this. I may not get into on West Point. Hell, I may not get into Harvard. I'm not trying to. And, you know, my mother has talked to me about Harvard as far as how they're kind of lowering the bar, setting the bar low, so that dumb niggas like me can get in. To which I say, no thank you. Oddly enough, Harvard does have something that I want. It has a major that I want. But the thing about it is, that very same major, it's online now. So, to get to where I'm trying to get, I don't need Harvard. If it happens, it is what it is, because I'm going to get my grades up. Shit, I wish I could show you how many years I put, the years of work I put in, my low IQ ass has put in STEM. I wish I could show you that, and maybe someday I will. And of course, it's going to piss you off. How is it that the nigger is acing all the calculus tests? Because I've studied it since I was 25. Basically for the past 14 years. Drilling, training, practicing. That's how you get good at this stuff. That's how you get good at STEM. Just like I'm always preaching on how you get good at foreign languages. It's called the trick, the magic, the secret is practice. Something motherfuckers like you clearly can't understand. No, it's affluence. It's white skin. It's privilege, which, yeah, you do have. And something we don't have. And then when all the shit that y'all do have, you'll sit up here and blame us because some of us have taken advantage of affirmative action. And I'll tell you, most of the black folks who've taken advantage of quote unquote affirmative action are boule Negroes. Negroes who would call me a nigga. The Step and Fetch It crew, the sorority, the fraternities and sororities, that crew. Them Atlanta niggas. Them Spelman niggas. Motherfuckers who, again, would look at me and probably would roll their eyes on some gay switching type shit. Niggas like me ain't taking advantage of no damn affirmative action. We getting it out the mud. I'm getting it out the mud. Everything I got. And that's probably what pisses you off even more because, again, You put us in this predicament, and we came out of it on top just the same. And that's why you get so pissed off at us and go out of your way to get pissed off at us versus the Pookies and Ray Rays going out blowing each other's brains out. Which again, your boy was up there. I mean, don't quote me on this, but the last words that came out your boy's mouth after Steuben Führer's mouth was quote unquote gang violence. What? Because, I mean, what's because, yeah, 14% of America's population is out here committing the most crimes. We don't have the numbers. Even with cities like Memphis, Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, your blackest of black, your chocolatiest of chocolate cities, we ain't got the numbers. And this ain't a rant towards all white people. Don't get me fucked up. Because, I mean, and that's a message for the niggas. A message that I have for the niggas is that there have been some white folks in my life who have done me straight solids. Have done me straight solids. Not here. Shit. God, no. Not in Colorado. Which, again, goes back to that old stereotypes about the South being the most racist part of the country. Shit. Nigga, I would tell you that there's more unity between white folks and black folks in the South, more so than you would find out here in the West. And white people themselves have been saying it because they came out, a lot of them have been coming out here from the South. I've seen it myself. Like, yeah, there was a white boy I met from North Carolina. Like, in his criticisms about, like, these goofies out here in the West and how they get down. And I know it ain't just Colorado, because there was a white lady, I think, ironically enough, she was from Memphis of all places, and she moved to, like, Seattle, and she said, bro, these, like, she had been so used to being around, like, black folks. When she got out there, like, she was up there like, these some real white folks, and this is coming from a white lady. There was, again, oddly enough, there was another white lady who got on Phil's, not on Phil's podcast, but Phil from the Advice Show, whatever his channel's called. He's got a lot of names, but his name's Philip Scott. He showed a white lady talking about she doesn't get uncomfortable. She doesn't get scared when there's black men around. She gets scared when there's white men around. Yeah. So the veil is finally being uncovered. What I've always known and speculated and thought behind the scenes is the cover's coming off. The smoke screen of a bunch of Chicago goofies and Memphis goofies doing all that killer thug shit. Nah. Because most of them niggas are locked up anyway. And what's left of them now, is going to be guarded. I mean, it's going to be, severely, surveillanced and scrutinized by the damn National Guard. Let's talk about, instead of talking about the niggas blowing each other's beaks off, particularly towards black people who don't follow that narrative, and you get pissed off about it, why don't we talk about all this white on white crime that goes on in parts of the world where it really ain't no black folks out there like that, like 0.01% of the population is black out there. Why don't we do that? Because I'm here to tell you motherfuckers, in 2025, it's a new day. It ain't 2004 anymore. You ain't got the books regulated and all that other shit, the same way you had your slaves out here illiterate, and then as soon as slavery ended, slaves cut their illiteracy rate right in half, and that in and of itself was an accomplishment. Just starting off. We know what's going on. If we're such an inferior people, why do you go out of your way to undermine us so much? If we were so inferior, you wouldn't even waste your time doing the most with us, doing all the fuck shit that y'all do with us. Misconstruing our words, accusing us of trespassing, and not even having a reason to trespass us for, and taking advantage of our ignorance, because knowing that you're supposed to issue a trespass warning before trespassing. You can't just go up to somebody and tell them that they trespass. Of course, I didn't know that. But you think I got time to be paying attention? You think I got time to be paying attention to the laws? There's a cop right here. Let me go and get up out of here before he accuses me of trespassing. It would be some goofy ass. It would, bro. It don't surprise me. It would be a cop. Alex Jones, again, white man, warned us. That's what I'm saying. I'm not directing this towards all white people, but I am directing it towards you white nationalists who think that we should just go back to the good old days of, oh, shall I shuck some corn for you, boss? Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir, boss. We ain't doing that yes, sir, boss and shit no more. We ain't going back to the good old days. We ain't doing that shit no more, bro. We our ancestors, but we ain't our ancestors like that, bro. I'll be damned. I've been fighting you motherfuckers. I mean, the fact that I fought your ideology, not only in your schools, I didn't just fight your ideology in your schools, I fought your ideology in the nigger schools. That's my background. I started off fighting this subservient, lower IQ based education or miseducation back when I was stuck in the hills of Wooddale, where it wasn't too many white faces to be seen and all types of ghetto shit. Then I went to White Station, then the University of Memphis, which again turned ghetto. I'm talking about 2004 when it had standards, when you at least had to have had a certain acceptable GPA, having graduated high school, as well as an ACT, an acceptable ACT score in order to get in, not by the goofy ass hood booger standards they got it going on now. Again, left wing shit. I mean, I'm just ranting at this point, but I'm just saying. I've been at this for some time. And if you think, upon seeing me, that I'm just some typical buck dancing shine bone who's just gonna kowtow and step and fetch, and I'll tell you another thing, your biggest mistake was keeping me up out of that job market. Because what do you think I've been doing for the past 20 or so odd years? So don't get it fucked up. And I love how, that's what I say, I love how y'all, will kowtow and act like everything is so cool around when there's Snoop Doggy Dogg coming around, but somebody competing on your level, y'all can't stand that shit. As if you earned it, and as if the likes of the Stormborn Fjorder earned it. His life was that of white. I mean, if his life, not to mention, there's another SS officer out here you know, by the name of Lauren Boebert. Y'all may deem me ignorant and say her name is Boebert. See, ik spreek Nederlands. I speak Dutch. And I'm pretty sure, I'm positive that's a Dutch name. So I'm just pronouncing it the way any other Dutchman would pronounce her last name. It's not Boebert or Boebert, it's Boebert. Even with the OE. I speak Dutch, people. I mean, you can't fuck with this nigga. Point being, if people like her and the Sturmbannführer aren't the prime example of white privilege, I don't know what is. Because even though he failed to get in the to West Point, he seemed to have lived a way more affluent life than I did. As well as this Laura Boebert. Damn near a high school dropout. Barely a high school graduate. Somehow made it into Colorado's political offices, if you will. Because isn't she like she's a representative, right? I know damn well she ain't no governor. I know that much. I know that pillow biter. That pillow biter Jared Polis. No, she's Laura Boebert is like a representative, a congresswoman, if you will, representing Colorado. No more than a damn I almost said bachelor's degree. Fuck me. No more than a damn high school diploma. And if that isn't the staunch example of white privilege, of white nationalism privilege, if you ask me, God help me, because I don't know what it is. It must be my low Negro IQ. And with that said, I'm catching y'all in the next vid. I'm out. And like I said, I wish it was you race soldiers who got shot in the neck. It should have been y'all. It should have, like I said, that racist ass store manager, them 2 police officers who just wanted to flex on the nigga and show me your Colorado ass. Motherfucker, I'm here to show you my Tennessee ass. You motherfuckers got me fucked up. And like I said, my stance remain. I hope you die. I hope you motherfuckers die. Because this is what's going on. The same energy that everybody's directing towards the Sturmbannführer, I'm directing towards you. Because I'm not thinking about him, I'm thinking about you. But it's because of him and what he represented that I'm thinking about you. Even though, because like I said, that'd be wasted energy to direct it towards a motherfucker I didn't know from Adam. So I just figured I'd direct it towards you. So believe me when I say from the bottom of my heart that to that goofy bitch, that racist store manager bitch, I hope you die of breast cancer. And to those racist ass race soldiers, I hope y'all die from testicular cancer. Fuck y'all, and I'll see all y'all in hell. Fuck y'all. I'll catch y'all in the next vid. I'm out.